Saturday morning, really, right? When it all started going down. Yeah, it was. Got texts from John Morosi and a couple of other folks and trying to figure out, what it means, what it meant that the Mariners traded Harry Ford for a lefty reliever that most of us were not that familiar with. The numbers are we kind of divide this into three categories for a topic. The first one is Jose Ferrer. Who is he? Why do they go after him? Is he going to be good? I think the real answer to that is we'll find out. He's got some good underlying numbers that you like. The ERA and some of the
huge ground ball thrower, right?
Right. Yep.
Big
He's got
time
a big
ground
power
ball.
sinker.
Elite versus lefties.
Yep.
The league we learned last year. Jeff Passan talked to us about this and educated us throughout the year of the numbers in the league-wide struggle versus lefties. Because it wasn't just the Mariners lineup that couldn't hit lefties. It was a lot of baseball. It was statistically relevant. So you've got a lefty power arm with a guy that can hump it up there, 98, 99? I mean, consistently, that sinker is 98 miles an hour.
And doing it with a sinker too, right? When you get that kind of velocity with the sinker, you're gonna get a lot of ground ball outs at that point. And he's murder on lefties, and they need a leverage arm, and it sounds like they believe he can be that. We'll find out. I mean, I don't know. I'm open minded to that for sure. And you got him under team control for a few years. So
4 years.
Yeah,
4 years.
So there's some relevancy to going out and trading for a guy like that. He's got some value. That's part one, and that's more of the wait and see. Part two is that really all you could get for Harry Ford?
I think, and that's where I think I landed. Like initially, my first blush reaction before digging into the numbers, and as you said, the Mariners project their pitchers really well. They have done that throughout. They did it with guys in Double-A as they project them to the big leagues. They know what they're looking for with some of their underlying stuff. And more often than not, kind of like John Schneider with D tackles, he's pretty darn good. And quarterbacks, pretty good with that. The Mariners brass have been pretty good projecting a lot of their pitchers. So you look at that, and for me, that's probably where I landed. Like, I'm going to trust their evaluation that this guy's pretty good. But that's what you get for Harry Ford. That's what you get for a 3-time future All-Star. That's where you get with an athletic catcher that is it's such a need in baseball where catching is just, hit 225, hit 235, and you could play for the next 10 years and be a really good catcher in Major League Baseball. That's what the value back was for Harry Ford. I think I landed on that as much as
and I think that was probably where a lot of Mariners fans landed. And I think the reality is, that's what he was worth. And we shouldn't be that surprised by it. The Mariners have been kind of looking at, we talked about dealing him last year, but his value was down after mediocre 2024. They didn't deal him. We talked a lot about him being dealt at the trade deadline. I was convinced he was going to be gone by August 1st of this year. I was convinced that Harry Ford would not be a Mariner on August 1st. He was. Why? Because the Twins didn't want him. They chose the package from Philadelphia in exchange for Juan Duran and didn't want Harry Ford. He was not all that valuable to Minnesota. They chose a guy in the Philly system that has a lot of question marks. And if Lyle were here, he'd go off on that whole thing. But that's what the league thought, and in that case Minnesota thought, of Harry Ford. You don't think the Mariners have been trying to get more for him since then? Of course they have. Ultimately, the Mariners didn't really see him as a long-term fitted catcher. They have a catcher that is blocking him. They didn't see the bat as playing well enough elsewhere, or maybe the glove playing well enough elsewhere to make it worthwhile. And the rest of the league agrees. And Brock, you made the real estate reference earlier, and somebody wrote in, I don't have it in front of me, but said, well, but what about if you had a great appraisal? The Mariners had a great appraisal from Baseball America, who said he was the 40-something, prospect. Baseball America didn't get to make that call. I mean, they can say it, but ultimately it's how each team and their scouts and their baseball operations department value a guy. This was the value of Harry Ford. Sorry. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. And by the way, we have also learned these things aren't just like, oh, let me just start this conversation yesterday. These are I think Howdy tweeted that. I mean, this has been years in the making that you have tried to find the best value, right? Because ultimately Cal blocks him at the big league level, right? I mean, Cal is here. And oh, by the way, you also drafted a catcher really high. Did you not? Did you also not draft a catcher in the high second round?
I'm not convinced it has anything to do with Cal.
Really?
I shouldn't say that. Anything? Sure, maybe some. You've mentioned the blocking part a couple times. I don't think that's a huge part of it. I don't think they see him as an everyday catcher. I just don't. I don't think the defensive catching skills are where from what I've heard. Look, I'm not judging him myself. From what I've been hearing, and not just, since Saturday, for like a year plus, is that they're just not convinced necessarily that he's an everyday catcher. So if he's not an everyday catcher, it doesn't really matter whether Cal is. Like, he's kind of doesn't have the right position. And the bat's good, but if it's not great, then there's just not that much value there.
Okay, so now fast forward. If you get that deal done, and by all accounts, this thing's going to be pretty active, has already been active. I think Buster only tweeted that Friday or Saturday. Like, wow, there is a lot of conversation with a lot of teams, with a lot of different players. Did I see MLB trade rumors? I don't want to be sentelled here.
Well, you did, but I did a little extra research on that, so I did get a little chuckle out of this. So MLB trade rumors, you're right, Brock, had
the Pirates
note,
and the Mariners,
yes, as being interested in Ketel Marte, and I tend to agree. I think the Mariners are and should be interested in Ketel Marte. He's a really, really good fit for them. But then I clicked on the links and kind of went through it. And ultimately, it was because of a John Heyman tweet. And when I looked closely at the John Heyman tweet, he doesn't say that the Mariners have interest or that the Pirates have interest. He says that they fit. Well, yeah, of course they fit. Like, yeah, the Mariners do. It was basically the Red Sox have interest. The Mariners and Pirates were among a group of teams that fit for Ketel Marte.
Gotcha.
So interest, I think it's there, but it's not because it was in MLB trade rumors and not because John Heyman said it. I have some John Heyman fun later this week. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the sound that I sent you of him and who was that? Sal Licata, whoever it was. It just
well, the good news, and again, I'll point back to Howdy a little bit on this, who was very reactionary over the weekend. I think he was a big Harry Ford guy.
He was.
Him, and who was the old third base? Vinny Catchell. Big Harry Ford. Big VinCat guy. He did say something fairly astute, and that is, guess what? The Mariners, having done deals for both Suarez and Naylor with the organization down there in Phoenix, they know each other's valuations very well.
Very well. They've talked through everybody.
They talk through everybody.
Yep.
So if there is a deal to be made, it won't be because, well, we just couldn't get the term sheet. Like they know, I think on both ends, and certainly Arizona knows the Mariners farm system very, very well. And is there a deal to be had? It won't be because of they don't know. It won't be because of they didn't do their homework. They've done a lot of homework for the last year on a lot of different players. And that one will, I'm sure, be part of the conversation this week at the Winter Meetings.
Now, Brock, it means Mitch Garver's coming back to be your backup catcher. Don't know if that's true or not, but
Brady,
I think it probably will.
We got to get to need to
I think it probably.
You think so? Really?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, it's not like there's like a million great backup catchers out there. He was making $12 million a year,
and he's a good catcher. And he
bring him back for $2 million a year.
Sure.
I mean, you can say no to that. Not really, right? Like, $2 million a year for Mitch Garver to be your backup catcher? Sure. If he contributes with the bat the way he did last year, he'd be a steal at that price. Now, it's hard because of the sunk cost of the $24 million you wasted, but hey, what's $2 million after 24?